friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do my Booktubeathon 2017 wrap up. And before we get started, I'll show you the stack of books that I read. And I am really impressed with what I was able to accomplish. I did complete all 7 of the reading challenges. So I'm going to go through and let you know the challenge and what book I read for it. So read a book with a person on the cover. I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A hyped book, I actually read All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. Let's see, finish a book in one day. I picked this poetry collection, Abstract Heart by J. Ironword. A character very different from you. I read about a blind character and Not If I See You First. Finish a book completely outdoors. I also am using Abstract Heart for that one. A book you bought because of the cover, that would also be Abstract Heart. And 7 books. I definitely read 7 books, as I showed you in the very beginning. I have quite a stack here. So yes, I actually did read 7 books and then a graphic novel, some comics, and the poetry collection. So now I'm just going to go ahead and break it down to you by day. On Monday, I read 619 pages. I did do the video challenge. I did not do the Instagram challenge. On the first day, I was able to complete 4 of the challenges because of that poetry collection. I read a book in one day. I read a book outside because I bought because of the cover, and also one with the person on the cover. On Tuesday, I read 849 pages. That was my highest page count of the day. And I read about a person that was very different from me. Let's see. So I read 849 pages. I did do the video challenge. I did not do the Instagram challenge. Day number 3, I read my hyped book and I completed reading 7 books. I read 361 pages. I did not do the video challenge. I did not do the Instagram challenge. Day number 4, I read 408 pages. Now at this point, I finished all the reading challenges. So I was just reading to continue knocking books off of my TBR. So I read 408 pages, did not do the video challenge, did not do the Instagram challenge. Day number 5, I read 200, well this is where we get into the weekend, kind of, because Friday was only a half day for my husband, so I knew Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were going to be like my lower days, and they definitely were. I like cut my reading in half. So Friday, I read 283 pages. I did do the video challenge. I did not do the Instagram challenge. Saturday, I read 151 pages. I did do the video challenge, but I did not do the Instagram challenge. And then on Sunday, I read 292 pages. I did not do the video challenge or the Instagram challenge. So I would say that my best day was definitely Tuesday. But it was nice getting all those challenges knocked off on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday were definitely my good days. And then Wednesday, I kind of hit like a, I don't know, I was just like in a weird mood because like I woke up late and my appointment and it was kind of craziness. But then I felt like I got back on track on Thursday, and I was glad because I knew Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were going to be really low days. So now that we've talked all the stats, if you have any other, my grand total of pages, so you don't have to do the math, was 2,963 pages, and we're about to go through the books. So the first thing that I actually completed, I actually picked up Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid first, but I read like a good chunk of it, and then I was like, okay, I need to knock out some of these challenges. So I went outside and read this, and I enjoyed it overall. I just thought it was the themes were a little repetitive. I did mark some of my favorites in here, and I will revisit those in the future. I do think that the cover is absolutely gorgeous. I do think that this poetry collection, design aesthetic wise, would have benefited from them being glossy pages inside instead of paper, because throughout it has these little like paint swatches and stuff like that, and then there's in the different sections like this, it could have been painted like this beautiful front cover, and it would have just been like, wow, so beautiful. But still, the poetry itself, I ended up rating 3 stars. Then I completed Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'm so glad I picked this up. I absolutely love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing and her stories and her characters, so I will definitely be picking up her other books. So this one is about Hannah, who's kind of at a crossroads in life. She ends up moving from New York in the very beginning, from New York back to LA, and moves in with her best friend and her best friend's husband. And Hannah's always been that one, like, does fate really exist? Like, you know, everything has a purpose, everything, you know, that's supposed to happen will happen. So like on her very first night there, they go out to like celebrate and meet up with some of their old friends. And at the end of the night, Hannah has to decide whether she's going to go home with her best friend or whether she's going to stay out and party the night away with her high school boyfriend, Ethan. Well, that decision is where Hannah's life splits, and we get to see both of those choices played out. Her going home with her best friend and what happens all the way to the very end of the book, and what happens with her staying out with Ethan all the way to the end of the book. And I just thought it was really interesting, and it answers a couple of questions. Is anything meant to be? How much of our lives is determined by chance? Is there such thing as a soulmate? So absolutely loved this one. I will definitely be picking up her other books to read. I ended up rating this 5 stars. Okay, I also read Nimona, really liked this one. I think this is just a standalone. I don't know if because it was different chapters and stuff like that, so not really sure if there's any more to this or not, but I really did enjoy it. I was hoping Nimona was going to be different. I loved her, and then I was like, oh, they did that with her character. Aww. So I was a little sad, but yeah, I just thought this was like a lot of fun. It's kind of like a superhero villain story, and she's the sidekick. I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. Then the character that I read was very different from me, was Not If I See You First. Our main character, Parker, is blind, and her mother and her father are no longer with us. Her father died like 3 months ago, and now her aunt and uncle have moved in with her, so she doesn't have to like change schools or anything like that. She's not like one of those woe is me, I'm blind characters. She's very like sassy and energetic and like, I can do this, I can handle this on my own type person. And that's what I really loved about Parker, that she wasn't, you know, letting the fact that she lost her sight dictate how she lives her life. Definitely a 5-star read. So many great themes, and I could see why this is Alex's favorite book. I read 2 comics. I read Princelings by Jeremy Whitley and M. Goodwin. Really liked this one. I loved the art style. I loved the female like main characters. The main character right here on the front is the princess, and then there is a sidekick that she kind of meets along the way. I'll definitely be continuing to see what happens, but it has very strong feminist themes, very strong political themes. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. Then I picked up, like I said, Saga Volume 6. Really liked this one. What I have always liked about Saga, if I don't read them close together, is that it does a really good job of catching you up like on the story, like, oh yeah, remember this is what happened last. But unfortunately, I don't think that this one did a really strong job of that. The story was great, the art is great, all of that, but I just felt it lacked that, you know, reminder at the beginning. So for that reason, I rated it 4 stars. Then I read my really hyped book, and that was All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. This book took me so long to get through, and this is the one, surprisingly enough, that I probably have the most to talk about. I realized something about Maggie Stiefvater's writing that I didn't realize before. I've read all 4 books of the Raven Cycle series. I've read Shiver from the first book in the Wolves of Timber Falls trilogy. I was trying to express it in the vlogs, but I don't think I was able to properly. Maggie Stiefvater, her writing is very kind of mysterious, slow moving. She develops everything very slowly and methodically, but like in the coolest way ever. But the first chapter of her books are always the hardest for me. Especially the first book kind of dealt with like some sci-fi scientific elements, and that's definitely not my strong suit. So I was dealing with that along with like what is this book about? That's what I wanted to know. And in the first chapter of a book, I kind of want to know, what is this book about? And so it doesn't necessarily lay everything on the line from you from the beginning, But that's also what makes her books so strong. It's because you have no idea what the point of this book is until the very end of the book. But you have to read the whole book to kind of get that. So if you're someone that kind of needs to know what's going on right from the beginning, this is not going to be the book for you. Because in the beginning, you're just reading it and you're getting to know the characters and the world and what's going on, and they're going from place to place and they're talking to different people, and you're like, who's the most important? Who's the main character? What's going on? What does this have to do with this? So I ended up rating this one. I ended up rating this one 4 stars as well. About halfway through, it was probably like a 3 stars, but by the end, I ended up rating it 4 stars. So definitely pick this up in October if you are a fan of Maggie Stiefvater. If you're not a fan of her other works and how they're written or like her writing, I would probably skip this one because it's very similar, how it's like mysterious and slow and all of those things that I've already said. Next up, I read Wink Poppy Midnight by April Genevieve Tocholt, and I liked this one. It was different than I was expecting. The characters were a little weird. You never knew like if you should trust them or not, and I tried to trust all of them, and I don't know, it was just, this was such a weird read. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. I also thought this one was very atmospheric. It was a little repetitive at times. It would hook on to saying something about somebody's hair and eyes, and it would just keep saying that about their hair and eyes instead of talking about something else. So it was a little repetitive, and also not only like in the descriptions, but in the dialogue and in the, internal thoughts, it would literally repeat words, and that drove me crazy. But overall, liked it, 4 stars. I picked up The Babysitters Club, redone by Raina Telgemeier. The original story was by Ann M. Martin. Loved this, so nostalgic. I definitely want to pick up the other ones that she has done. There's 3 other ones, but I don't know if she's going to continue in the series. Like, I read or saw something about, like, she only did those 4. So, kind of bummed about that. If that's true, I'll have to look into it further, but definitely enjoyed this first volume. I rated this 5 stars because I loved the original story. I loved this take on it. The coloring and like illustrations were great. I love Raina Telgemeier's illustration style. So yeah, definitely enjoyed this. Then I read If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, and this book, it was such a roller coaster for me. I loved this book so much. I felt like I read it at the perfect time, like during Booktubeathon and during when things were happening in the United States that I feel, need to be talked about more. I just loved her story. Amanda will be a character that sticks with me for a very long time. But there were definitely, this was like hard, like if you know anybody that's trans, if you have any trans friends, or you know anything about that community, or you have any connection to it at all, I think this can be hard to read at times. Because there is some physical violence that takes place and so forth, but it's really, really a good book. And I highly recommend it if you're looking for a diverse read, if you're looking for an own voices, if you're just looking for trans rep. Like, I highly recommend this, and I loved this one, 5 stars. So that pretty much completed my Booktubeathon TBR. I didn't read Black Beauty. I ended up taking that off. I talked about that in my vlog. It was a classic. I wasn't really in a classic mood, so I just took it off so I wouldn't like stump myself with the rest of Booktubeathon. And I also had already read Rat Queens Volume 2, so that was off of the TBR. So then I went right into the books that I was reading prior to Booktubeathon. So I finished The Joy of Less by Francine J, and I read the last 96 pages of this book. This is a book that is really more of like a workbook, a slower read. I've been reading this for several months because in the beginning it's explaining the process behind the streamline method, and it's walking you through each step, and then towards the latter half of the book it's working room by room and what you should do, and like working through the steps and kind of like additional tips and things to think about. And then at the end, I finished up my last couple of rooms, and then at the end, it really went into kind of that whole, you know, reduce, reuse, recycle mentality, and how we really should concentrate. Yes, it's great to recycle, but also to reduce what we're buying, to reuse what we do buy if we can use it for another purpose, and just kind of the impact that consumerism has on our environment. And since I do consider myself an environmentalist and like an eco-friendly person, I really did like those like pages and stuff. I ended up rating this one 4 stars because I do feel like sometimes she was heavy-handed and almost like mocking people that didn't follow the minimalist lifestyle, but I thought that the method was really great, and I thought it was really simple and easy to follow. Then I finished listening to Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I originally read this book when it came out. When did it come out? Yes, it's been a couple of years. I guess I originally read this in 2015. So I think it was like January or February of 2015. I don't remember exactly, but I read it right when it first came out. And I didn't really like it. It's a fantasy book, and fantasy is definitely not my strong genre. But I read this and I rated it 2 stars. And I do have a review up on my channel all about my thoughts and feelings of this book. During my reread of it, and again, I did listen to it on audio, so that helped, I ended up bumping up my rating from 2 stars to 3 stars. So I was definitely able to understand a little bit more about what was going on in the characters and the relationship of the characters. So I will be continuing in book number 2 and seeing how I feel about that. And then depending how I feel about book number 2 is if I will continue on in the series. But I ended up reading the last 212 pages of this. And I went, even though I'm on a book buying ban, my husband and I went to Books A Million because I had forgotten that we had to meet some of his out-of-town family for like lunch, and I was so bummed because I was planning to like finish off the day strong with Booktubeathon, and I was like, really, if you're breaking me away from this, like, you need to treat me. So he did. He took me to Books A Million, and I got Saga Volume 7, and I read this, and of course I loved it. I'm going to go ahead and say that I was hoping for more, but how people were talking about it, people were like, oh my god, so much happens, and you know, all this, and it does. I mean, stuff goes down. But I still rated this one 4 stars. I think that this one did a good job of reminding you where Volume 6 left off, and you're introduced to new characters. You're reintroduced, like some characters from earlier in the series are back in this volume. And just interesting things take place. It is very graphic. It is very for mature audiences only. But I really do love this series, and yes, I will be continuing on. But I ended up rating that one 4 stars. Yeah, I really liked it. But these are the books that I read for Booktubeathon. I had so much fun. I will participate in some capacity every single year. I would love to like run one of the challenges, or do sprints, or like do the Instagram challenge, or just anything. But I definitely think that if you're doing those things, it's taking away from your reading time. And I liked that I concentrated more on my reading than anything else. But that's all for my Booktubeathon wrap up. Let me know if you have any comments down below. Also, I did do a vlog every single day, and the challenges that I did are obviously already ready on my channel. So I have a whole playlist of all the videos from Booktubeathon 2017 available for you. So I will have that linked in the description box. Please let me know how you did a Booktubeathon. If you participated, what did you accomplish? Did you not participate? Why? Why not? And just all of those things, let me know in the comment section down below. But I'm behind on making videos, so I need to catch up. So you'll be seeing a lot of videos from me in the coming days. But that's it for today. I hope you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!